Let me ask you a question. How many times have you told yourself that you're going to start exercising, cut down on sugar, and probably stop scrolling before you sleep? Yet, a few weeks after, you find yourself doing the exact same things you promised not to do. This is not a sign of weakness or laziness. It's just your brain doing what it's been designed to do. And if you understand how this works, it probably will help you to make better changes next time. So, your brain has one main function, which is to keep you alive whilst using the least amount of energy possible. This means that every activity that requires you to think a lot is expensive for the brain, which the brain doesn't like. It is such that if you have to think about everything you have to do in a day, your brain will be so tired that before you even begin your day, your body will be tired. So the brain has found a clever way of dealing with some of these things, which is automation. When you do something over and over again, the brain is able to learn about this pattern of activities and then hand it over to a deeper structure known as the basal ganglia. You don't have to worry about the name, but you can think of it as the autopilot region of the brain. And this region doesn't think, it doesn't do any analysis. All it does is to run the pattern of activities that you've learned over time. So, for example, you can drive whilst talking to other people. You can brush your teeth whilst also doing something else. There are so many activities that you've learned over the years that you can do without even thinking about it. And this same system is what is responsible for habits, and we'll go a bit deeper into it. For habits to form, three things are involved. The first is a trigger. So it could be something like feeling bored or tired. The second is the habit itself, which could be things like reaching for your phone, taking something sweet, or skipping the gym. And the last is the reward, which makes your brain feel good. And this feeling is made possible by a chemical known as dopamine. So dopamine tells your brain that, whoa, this activity is good, so keep doing it. And this is how habits are formed. The more you keep repeating this loop, the stronger it becomes and the more difficult it is to stop. And a typical example is, let's say you decide to start going to the gym after work, but then you come back home and you feel tired. So your brain tells you, oh, okay, lie down for a while. And the next easiest thing to do, which doesn't involve a lot of thinking, is to just pick your phone and start scrolling. Scrolling releases dopamine, which tells your brain that this activity is good. And as you keep doing it over the days, this pathway is strengthened and it becomes difficult to stop. The fact of the matter is that the brain likes activities that doesn't require a lot of thinking, and it doesn't care whether it is good for you or not. So far as it doesn't utilize a lot of energy, it is good, and it reinforces this behavior, making it difficult to stop. So why does breaking habits feel so difficult? And here is the key point. You are not just fighting a decision to do something or not to do something. You are actually fighting brain pathways that have been strengthened over time. So anytime you try to make a change, the brain resists because the brain likes familiar things due to the fact that familiar things are efficient and efficient things require less energy. So it's not a matter of fighting the decisions, it's a matter of fighting brain pathways that have been strengthened over a long period of time. Now, someone will ask, how then can I break bad habits, or how then can I change any habit? And there is good news. But the first thing you need to do is not to fight against your brain, but then you rather have to work with it. And I mentioned three things that are involved in habits, which is the trigger, the habit itself, and the reward. So the first thing you need to know is that if there is a trigger, the habit will follow. So if you have a habit of eating junk food, make sure that you put those foods away. If you have a habit of scrolling a lot before you sleep, make sure that a few hours before you sleep, you put your phone away. This is one way of curbing some of these bad habits. Secondly, you should know that the brain does not like empty space. So instead of removing bad habits, you should rather replace them with good habits. So instead of endless scrolling, you can decide to read a book for 5 or 10 minutes. Instead of lying down doing nothing, you can decide to go for a 10 minutes walk. The third thing you can do is that make good habits easier, because the brain likes easy stuff. So if you decide to go to the gym in the morning, make sure that you are prepared the night before. If you want to eat healthy, try to meal prep before the time comes that you need to eat. And then the last thing you need to do is to take small steps. It's easier to think that, oh, I'm just going to wake up one day and hit the gym and be exercising for 30 minutes non-stop. No, the brain is going to resist it. Make sure that you take small steps. Start from 10 minutes, 20 minutes in incremental ways. And that way you reinforce your brain to learn some of these good habits. What you need to know is that your habits are not your identity. They are just patterns that your brain has learned over a long period of time. And anything that the brain has learned, it can unlearn. So next time if you fall into a bad habit, don't blame yourself and say that I've failed. It's probably your brain doing what it was trained to do, and you need to train it better. Thank you for listening. Subscribe and share for others, and I'll see you in the next one.